You know the image: strawberry blonde curls, a half-open smile, bright studio lights glinting in her eyes. But at 3:30 a.m. on August 5th, 1962, the world's most photographed woman lay face down on a neat linen bed in a quiet Brentwood hacienda, motionless, unreachable, already a legend. By breakfast, headlines whispered overdose. But the real mystery was how so many powerful people managed to drift in and out of Marilyn Monroe's orbit that night without leaving fingerprints. Was this simply Hollywood's saddest ending, or the perfect cover for something darker? Even 6 decades later, the timelines don't line up, the autopsy samples are missing, and a handwritten diary rumored to hold state secrets has never been found. Every new file release, every tell-all book, seems to raise the same impossible question. Did America's favorite ingenue take too many pills on her own terms, or did someone help her disappear? The final hours. Saturday, August 4th, began like any other late summer day in Los Angeles. Marilyn approved fabric swatches for her brand new sofa, chatted about a Playboy photo set with photographer Lawrence Schiller, and showed her housekeeper, Eunice Murray, where to plant fresh basil outside the kitchen window. Around 7 that evening, she answered a cheerful call from Joe DiMaggio Jr. Nothing in her voice hinted at despair. Minutes later, she phoned her psychiatrist, Dr. Ralph Greenson, just to share the gossip. By 8 p.m., she'd slipped into her bedroom, promising Murray she was turning in early. But Hollywood nights always invite one last interruption. Actor Peter Lawford, who was hosting a beachfront party, rang to coax her out. He later swore she sounded foggy, drugged, then murmured a cryptic goodbye. "Say farewell to the president. And to yourself." Alarmed, Lawford called his agent. The agent dialed Marilyn's lawyer. The lawyer rang the house. Murray coolly insisted everything was fine. What no one explains is why Murray, who admits waking at 3 a.m. to see light under Marilyn's door, waited nearly an hour before breaking the window and another 30 minutes before the police were summoned. Those missing minutes still echo like a silent phone on a nightstand. The bedroom scene and the pill bottles. When officers finally stepped into the pastel-pink room, they counted an empty Nembutal prescription and 14 other medicine bottles within arm's reach. Barbiturates, stimulants, painkillers, each with a different doctor's name. Dr. Hyman Engelberg, the personal physician who had prescribed 40 to 50 capsules just days earlier, pronounced her dead and estimated she had stopped breathing hours before. The coroner ruled a probable self-inflicted overdose, but toxicology could never prove the pills were swallowed. Crucial stomach samples vanished in transit to the lab, fueling rumors of tampering. The press devoured the pharmaceutical angle. Front pages blasted bottles near body, yet ignored a smaller detail. The phone still clutched in Marilyn's hand. Had she tried to dial for help, or been holding it when an argument turned lethal? With no residue of yellow dye from Nembutal in her esophagus, skeptics suggested the deadly barbiturates might have been administered as a suppository, an unpleasant method favored, they claimed, by certain underworld fixers. The autopsy notes could neither confirm nor deny it. The Kennedy connection. Enter the Camelot crowd. For months, gossip columnists had chuckled about private dinners with John F. Kennedy and late-night calls from his brother, Attorney General Robert F. Kennedy. According to Detective Fred Otash, whose covert tapes are detailed in the 2024 book The Fixer, Peter Lawford's Malibu home was wired, and at least one reel allegedly captured RFK soothing a distraught Marilyn after she threatened to go public. If Marilyn did keep a little red diary packed with pillow talk secrets, its disappearance is as spectacular as her death. Some insiders insist RFK flew to LA that Saturday, argued with her about national security, then left Lawford to clean up the scene. Lawford denied it to his dying day, yet whistleblowers keep resurfacing. An ex-wife who remembers frantic midnight phone calls, a chauffeur who claims he ferried the Attorney General to LAX before dawn, even an ambulance attendant who says the star was still alive when medics first arrived and already gone when they brought her back. None of it appears in official files, but the whispers refuse to fade. Mob motives and shadowy fixers. Where the Kennedys roam, organized crime inevitably lurks. Teamsters boss Jimmy Hoffa loathed RFK's corruption crusades. Chicago godfather Sam Giancana bankrolled Sinatra's Rat Pack gigs, and Marilyn, ever the social butterfly, flitted among them. One theory paints an ugly picture. Mobsters slipped her an N-barbiturate suppository intending to frame Kennedy for negligence, then watched the White House scramble. Another claims she died by accident. An overeager Dr. Feelgood misjudged a dose, and the mob merely helped Hollywood hide the malpractice. Either way, the LAPD's 1982 reinvestigation concluded there was no credible evidence of foul play, yet admitted unanswered questions haunted every witness statement. Career flameout and the studio's ultimatum. Behind the glamour, Marilyn's job was teetering. She had been fired in June from Something's Got to Give after missing 17 of 30 shooting days. Sinus infections, gallbladder surgery, panic attacks, and endless barbiturates turned rehearsals into roulette. But in late July, the studio reversed course. Co-star Dean Martin refused to replace her, and she was rehired with a sweeter contract. Friends say she was giddy, already planning a triumphant swimsuit scene to silence tabloids. Others recall her fretting over money, terrified Fox would sue if she relapsed. Both stories could be true. The real-life Norma Jean often balanced hope and despair on the same satin slipper. Love, divorce, and echoes of heartbreak. 3 ex-husbands felt the aftershocks in very different ways. Baseball icon Joe DiMaggio booked the first flight to Los Angeles, barred most of Hollywood from her funeral, and spent the next 20 years sending roses to her crypt twice a week. Playwright Arthur Miller issued a curt no comment, then privately penned an unprinted essay blaming producers and sycophants for crushing the woman he loved. And first husband James Dougherty, now a Los Angeles policeman, learned the news over his patrol car radio, whispering to a partner that the industry had used her up. Each man insisted they knew the real Marilyn. Each admitted they couldn't save her. Shockwaves through pop culture. News of her death broke on Andy Warhol's 34th birthday, and the pop artist immediately silk-screened her smiling face in 50 neon squares. Marilyn as both saint and product, forever young, forever frozen. Sophia Loren burst into tears. Truman Capote wrote, "She was so much on the side of the angels." Even First Lady Jackie Kennedy, 3 months after her husband's assassination, privately remarked she was glad Marilyn got out of her misery. Fame, it seemed, could turn sympathy into schadenfreude with a single breath. Legend at the edge of truth. Marilyn Monroe died at 36, but the questions she left behind refused to age. Was she a fragile soul who lost control of the prescription pills meant to steady her nerves? A political liability silenced before she could speak? Or a lonely woman caught between men who loved her image and feared her secrets? The evidence points in every direction, the testimonies rewrite themselves, and that rumored diary still hasn't surfaced. Yet in a way, the mystery is the point. Hollywood's brightest star became its most compelling ghost, an endless riddle reflected in Warhol's fluorescent grid and whispered in every new memoir. Perhaps that's why we keep returning to Fifth Helena Drive, not just to find out how Marilyn left us, but to understand why her light, once so dazzling, burned through the dark, and why we can't look away from its afterglow.